Hello everyone, welcome to another video on the Data Perspective channel. In this video, we are going to be learning how to sort our data in Pandas. We'll be looking at ways we can sort our columns, how to sort multiple columns and get the largest and smallest values from different rows. So as usual, I'll be using the snippet file that contains our sample data set to understand the concept before going back to our Stack Overflow survey data to carry out more examples. So without wasting time, let's dive right into it. So let's say we want to sort this data frame which we have here. So one way we can do this is to decide to say we want to sort by their age or even by their names. So let's say we want to sort this data frame by their ages. We can do this by calling the sort underscore values method. So we would say df.sort underscore values, and now we are going to place in the column which we want to sort by. Okay, so in this situation we are sorting by our age, right? So let me go ahead and run this, and now we can see now that we have the age of 16, which is the least age in this data frame, as our first age, followed by 18, 20 and so forth. So you can see this data frame have been sorted by age in the ascending order from lowest to the highest. Now if we want to sort this data frame in descending order, that is, we want to have the individual with the highest age on the first row, we can do that by adding the ascending argument. So we can say ascending and we can set this to be equals to false. Okay, if I go ahead and run this now, let me scroll down, you would see we have the age of 35 on our first row, and if you look at this, you see the ages keep on reducing. So this is how you can sort your data frame in ascending and descending order. We can also decide to sort values using multiple columns, and this method of sorting is usually done when you have identical values in your rows of data. So for example, in situation like this where we have the age of 25 and another age of 25, we have Alice and Faye as 25 years. Okay, so we can decide to say in this situation we want the person where the first name has the first alphabet to come first. Okay, so in this situation we'll be having Alice still, right? But we can also decide to say, okay, we want the person with the last or the least name to come first, and we'll be having the name of Faye first. Okay, so let's take an example so that I show you how we can go about doing that. So same process, we could say df and we'll go ahead and call the dot sort values method. And this time around, since we are sorting by multiple columns, our by is going to be taking a list of those columns which we want to sort by. So we want to sort by age, and we also want to sort by our first name. The next thing we can do is we can also specify the method we want to sort each of these column by. So let's say for our age we are sorting by ascending order, while for the first column we'll be sorting in descending order. So let's go ahead and write that. So ascending, this is going to take a list also, since we are passing in two conditions, right? So the age is going to be in ascending order, while for the first name we'll be sorting in descending order, so we'll be putting false there. So let's go ahead and run this and see what we get. So if I scroll down, we would see that we have our age in ascending order: 16, 18, 20, 25. Then if you take note of these two rows where we have same age value of 25, you will now see that we have Faye coming first before Alice, because we specify that we want our data frame also to be sorted by the first name column, and we want our values to be in descending order. So if you look at this row where we have the age of 25 for both Faye and Alice, you will see that we have Faye coming first before Alice, because we specify that we want these values to be sorted in descending order, and this is going to be acting as a tiebreaker for the age sort values. So aside from this, we can also decide to say that we want to sort all our values in descending order, right? So we can just say df dot sort values, same process, specify the columns you are sorting by. We are sorting our age, want to sort by age, and we also want to sort by the first name, right? And this time around, since we are sorting both values in descending order, we can just say ascending equals first. So we don't need to pass in a list, because we want to sort these two columns of data in descending order. In situation where I want both columns to be in ascending order, let me copy this and remove this. You can just see this, that it's going to be sorted. If I run this, both values are going to be sorted in ascending order. Okay, so now if I want to sort both values in sort by descending order, I just need to add ascending is equals to first, and if I go ahead and run this, you'll see the difference now, that our age values are from 35 to 16, and the rows where we have 25, we would be using the first name sort as our tiebreaker, so we'll be having Faye first before Alice. Now after sorting your data frame, if you want to save this data frame, okay, let's say you finish sorting this data frame now and you like the outcome, right? If you want to save this data frame just the way it is, you have to add the in place argument equals to true. So let's say in place is equals to true. Before I run this line of code, I'll show you something. Let's go ahead and run our data frame once more. If we run our data frame, you'll see that even with all the changes, all the sorting we've been doing, it didn't affect our original data frame. It's still just the way it is originally, okay? But if we go ahead and run this now, after we've added our in place equals to true, let me run this, okay, and let me go ahead and run this data frame again. Let's check our data frame. You can now see that our changes have been kept in place, and now our data frame has now been changed to this. Now if I want to go back now to get my original data frame just like the way I had it before, where we had Bob Marley as our first row, Charlie as our second row, how do I go ahead and do that? I can use the sort underscore index method to do that. So all I have to do is to say df dot sort underscore index and run this. So if I run this, we'll be getting our original sort method from the beginning. So you can see we have Alice Wonderland, Bob Marley, Charlie. So if you look at this data frame, and let's go ahead and look at our data frame at the beginning, so you can see that they are both the same thing. So using the sort underscore index method is going to give you the original version of your data frame before you applied any sort on it. So this is how you can sort on a data frame. You can also sort on series objects. Remember that we said a single column of your data frame, right? So for example, if I want to sort the values only on the age column and without retrieving other columns in this data frame, I can go ahead and say df and just call that column you want to see. Okay, so we want only our age column and we want to sort on this column. So remember, if I go ahead and run this, it's going to return a series object back to me, right? Just only that age column. So if I want to sort these values here, I can call on the dot sort values, and if I run this now, I'll be getting my values in ascending order, 16, 18, 20 and so forth. So you can call on the dot sort values on a series or on a single column. So now with this being said, we can now go ahead to our large data set, which is our survey results data frame. So if you want to download this data set so that you can work along with me, I'll be dropping the link in the video description section, so do wait to click on that link and download the data set. So for our Stack Overflow survey data, let's say we want to sort this data by the country column. So let me just go ahead and check our data. Let's see the columns we have in our data frame. Let me go ahead and run this, and with this we'll be getting the names of all the columns in this data frame. And you can see here we have our country column, right? So let's sort this data frame by the country columns, meaning countries like Afghanistan would be at the top of our data frame, right? So let's say data. Remember, you use the dot sort values when you want to sort your data frame by, and we're sorting by country. So let me just go ahead and copy this. So I'll paste this here, and I'll go ahead and run this. So let's say okay, I want to look at the first 5 rows of this data frame so that I can be able to scroll from here. And let's look at our country column. You can see we have Afghanistan. Let's look at our previous data frame. If I go ahead and scroll this, you could see previously we had none as the first row country name, then we had Canada, United Kingdom, Israel, United States of America. But since we've applied our dot sort values method and we've sorted by the country, we now have Afghanistan. If we decide to look at just this country column in this data frame, let's say country, and see the names of the different countries, would also be getting our previous values, right? So remember that we can call the dot sort values on our series. So let's say dot sort values, right? So let's go ahead and run this straight ahead. So you could see we have Afghanistan, and we have all the non-missing, not a number rows of data at the end of this column. So let's see if we can, probably let's me add the dot head and say I want to look at the first 20 rows of this series objects. So you can see we have Afghanistan as the first 20 rows. If I increase this to, let's say 40, and let's see if we would get, so you could see even for the first 40 rows we all add Afghanistan. So you can see the various rows in this data frame has been arranged alphabetically based on the country name. So let's say we want to see the salary value for each respondent, and we want our sorting to be in descending order. That is, we want to see the respondent with the highest salary at the top of our data frame. How do we go ahead and do that? Let me just go ahead and remove this so that we'll get the first 5 rows. Okay, now let's go ahead and see the respondent with the highest salary value. So values, and we want to sort our data frame by our salary. So let's go ahead and look at these columns and see which of this column talks about salary. So this is it, right? Let me go ahead and copy this, and I'll be pasting this here. So if I run this, remember we've not added our ascending argument to decide if we are sorting in descending or ascending order, right? So in this situation we are sorting in ascending order, that is from smallest to the highest value. So if we go ahead and look at the first 5 rows, and let me go ahead and scroll this and see if we'll get the salary column. So you could see that we have 0 0.0, 0 0.0, 0 0.0, no salary value, right? So let's add our arguments now. That is ascending, and say we want to sort this in a descending order, so we'll be putting false, right? So let's say false, and if we go ahead and run this again, now we'll be getting those rows of data with the highest salary value. So let's go ahead and look at what we got. So this is us sorting this data frame based on the salary column from the highest value to the lowest. We can also decide to sort these values just like we did earlier, sorting by multiple columns. So let me just go ahead and copy this and paste this here. This time around we'll be sorting by both the country and the salary. So we'll sort first by country, and next will be by the salary value. Remember, when you are sorting with multiple columns, you have to paste this in a list, right? And next we decide to sort our country column in ascending order and set the salary in descending order, meaning we want countries like Afghanistan, Albania, etc. to be at the top of our list, but we want to see the individuals with the highest salaries for these countries first. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll pass in a list and say we want to sort through, that's ascending order for country and descending order for the salary values. So let me go ahead and remove this and run this. So you can see our data frame has been sorted accordingly. If we go ahead and look at the country column, let me add the dot head so that we'll be looking at the first 5 rows. If I run this and scroll down a bit, now let's look at the country columns. So you can see we have Afghanistan as the first 5 rows, and if you look at the salary values, you would see that we have candidates with the highest salaries coming first. You can see it as the rows keep on increasing, the salary values decreases. So that's how you can sort your data frame. And remember that if you want this sort order to be kept, you just have to add the in place argument and say in place is equals to true. Okay, so in this video we talked about how we sort values in our data frame. We looked at sorting by single column and adding the order we want to sort by, either in ascending or descending order. We also looked at how we can sort our data frame using multiple columns in our data frame. So this brings us to the end of this video. So if you find this video helpful, remember to subscribe to this channel and ensure to leave a thumbs up. Okay, that encourages me and keeps me going. Also drop your questions in the comment section if you find anything confusing or if you would love to ask any questions. You can also drop your suggestion on what you like to learn in the comment section. I'll do my best to go through each and every one of it and answer your questions. Don't forget to share this video to your friends, family and loved ones you know are interested in learning how to make use of Python pandas for analyzing data. Bye for now and see you in my next video.